Hey guys, welcome to another Molly lineup guide. Today we'll be doing Icebox. If you guys prefer picture form, these lineups are in a doc, which I will link below. Let's get it. Let's start here with A site, the default save plant spot. These lineups pretty much work for the save plant spot and anywhere on the left side of the ropes. First lineup would be coming back to A main. You line yourself up with this line, walk against the wall, and then you line up with this corner. Okay, this is what you're trying to line up with. You line up the mouse button and indicator line, the left side of the line with that corner, just like this.
Molly!
You shoot it, and it will land perfectly for this plant. Next up is a deny lineup found by AverageJonas himself. You wedge yourself with this corner and you line up your crosshair with this cross in the ceiling.
Molly.
Shoot it. It should land perfectly for this bomb plant. Next plant spot would actually be the one that I prefer more, which is right underneath rope. The reason why I prefer this lineup is because, say, if you have a teammate watching flank and they need to peek the bomb from top belt, they won't need to worry the enemy can hide and defuse the bomb. So let me just show you here. The enemy cannot hide and defuse the bomb at all because the wall prevents them to. So the first lineup would be, again, from the same spot as you shoot it for the safe area, is you line up yourself with this line on the wall, walk towards the wall. And for the safe one is you line up the mouse indicator left line to this corner, but this time you want to just move it down to the white line so it shoots farther back. So like this, and then you go down to the white line.
Molly!
Shoots farther back and covers more towards underneath ropes plant, as you can see here. Next lineup would be a lineup actually found by AverageJonas himself, is you come to bottom belt. Say if your teammate help you plant underneath ropes and you're over here watching flank, that would work perfectly. Or if you just plant it there and you run back here, that works as well. Is you line yourself up against this wall here, walk towards it, okay, just like this, and then you line up your crosshair with this corner and move just a little bit to the left, but not past the halfway point. All right, so make sure you don't go past the halfway point. This is a halfway point. You want to stay on the right side of that. And just move a little left right here. Should bounce against the back wall and bounce onto the bomb. And this one also covers
plant a spike
default plant as well as underneath ropes. Okay. Next up would be a deny lineup from stairs right here. If say you're rotating over and you hear them tap the bomb and you want to deny it, is you line up your crosshair at the top of this line around the gray area. And just shoot it. And this will cover default plant as well as underneath ropes plant. So next up would be for the sage wall plant right here, right next to generator. There are three lineups for that. First lineup would be, again, you line yourself up with the line on the wall, walk towards it. And then you're trying to use this rope as your helper, as well as the top of the pipes as your helper. So you line up the right side of the mouse button indicator rectangle to the rope, and then you line up that left line right on the top of the pipe. Okay, so it's just like this.
Molly.
Shoot it. Should land perfectly for this plant. Next up would be same thing for that plant. Is you come here to screens, you wedge yourself in this corner. This time you line up your crosshair with the darker corner right here, and then you just move a little bit to the left, right in the middle of the ceiling tile. So line up your crosshair right there, move it to the middle of ceiling tile, shoot it. Should land perfectly on spike. Okay, next up is you line up with this little nub of boiler wall right here, and then you have your crosshair just around this bottom area.
Molly.
Shoot it. Should bounce perfectly for this plant spot as well. Last but not least, here on A site is a combo ult Molly with Killjoy ult. If your Killjoy ult's right here on pipes, this only leaves this back corner open on A site for the enemy to hide. It's a really small corner, So your molly lineup is gonna work on the bottom. All right, so what happened is this lineup is you line yourself up with this line again, you walk towards the wall, and you line up your crosshair with this ropes, and you move all the way down to the bottom left opening of nest. Molly. You shoot it, and your molly should land perfectly for that little corner. And if the enemy were to not leave sight and wants to hide in this corner, they're gonna get burned. And that concludes here on A site, and let's move on to B site. So here on B site, let's just start out here with the most basic plant right by the double boxes or the container here. First lineup for that would be right here in this cubby, in this corner. Wedge yourself here in this corner and line up your crosshair to the corner of the crane right here, and just jump and shoot. Make sure you gotta jump and shoot, and this should land perfectly on this bomb or any of these other plant spot on the left as well. Next up would be a more difficult lineup. Is you line up with this KNG here right by spawn. You walk towards the wall and make sure your crosshair when you're looking straight towards the container, it's about at the color changing area over here. You see how it's different color. And then you line up that mouse button indicator crosshair, the crosshair inside the mouse button indicator rectangle to this little corner here, just like this. And then you just shoot it. And it should bounce twice before it lands on the bomb. Boom, boom. Okay, make sure you practice this in customs before you try it in competitive, because this one's harder to do. All right, next up would be for more, you know, just anywhere kind of plant here in default. First lineup would be right here in this corner. Right here is you wedge yourself in this corner, and then you just inch yourself out a little bit until the side of the boxes lines up with the side of that container, and then you use the left side of the shoot mouse button indicator to line up with the bottom of the P right here, and then you just shoot it. Molly. So let me show you again. So this corner of this P, you line up with the left side of the mouse button indicator, left corner, top left corner, shoot it, and it should land perfectly for this bomb plant. Okay, this one is credit to AverageJonas. AverageJonas was the one who found that lineup. Next up would be a lineup from our community that QuickMannZ found it. Is in this, you wedge yourself in this cubby, and this time you line up your tip of your molly icon to the bottom of this little bit gray area. So you can see there's a little bit gray area. You line up the tip of the molly icon to that little area. Shoot it. And this one should bounce off that container and land perfectly onto Spike, covering this entire area. Obviously, right here, as you saw earlier, this molly lineup also would work or any of the surrounding area plant spot as well. But this one's more dangerous because if you were to stand in this area and the enemy's coming over to check back yellow, they would be able to see you. So I prefer the other lineups. So next up would be a lineup from right here. Another more safer area closer to spawn is you line up with this hinges of this container door, walk towards it, and then you line up the stim beacon little corner to this corner of this crane thing, just like this. Molly. Shoot it. It should bounce off the back of this, lands perfectly for this spot. All right. Another lineup would be from here, right outside kitchen. Is right here. This one credit to Paris. You wedge yourself in this corner, and you line up the tip of the molly icon to just about right here, at the top of the door right here. Molly. Shoot it. Bounces off the top of the container actually, and lands perfectly for this plant. All right. Next up would be a denial lineup that you probably see me do a lot, also found by Paris. Is you wedge yourself in this corner. You don't need to jump on the pallets. You just wedge yourself in this corner, and you have the molly, the letter underneath the molly icon touching the bottom of this darker area. So like this, So you see my letter Q is touching the bottom of the darker area.
Molly.
Shoot it. It bounces perfectly for this plant spot. All right. Another one over here. This one found by AverageJonas. This one is extremely pixel perfect and it's hit or miss. I would use it not for denying the plant, but more of denying the rotate of coming into B side. So let me just show you here. You line up the right side of the line of the mouse button indicator line to about this darker area of the crane here. So you see, putting that line
Molly.
on top. And this one does a weird bounce off the top of this tube. And you know, this works this time, kind of. It stops them from coming onto site. So this would work, but sometimes it bounces
right here
over here for some reason. But at the same time, sometimes it bounces inside the site. So you just have to practice this one a little bit. But yeah, that's it for this plant spot, lineups for this plant spot. Next up would be planted right here in this corner site, which I have seen some sages do for some reason, is you plant right there. And there's a deny lineup for that, is you come over here to this container, line up with the right side of the graffiti right here. And you see this letter, number 2 over here, you just line up with the left side of this container, move your crosshair to about below the numbers, shoot it, and it should bounce perfectly for this diffuse. Next would be for planting inside the tube on the left side open over here, is you come into this corner, the lineup would be from right here, and you see this difference of the snow over here. And so what happens is you want to aim your crosshair about right here.
Molly.
And it should bounce perfectly into this plant spot. So the last plant spot here on B side, there's 2 lineups for that. The first one would be coming back to mid. It's planted, that's planted more for mid, right? So you come back here to mid and you line yourself up with this container door, the middle container of the container doors, and you line up the top of your smoke icon, the top dot of the smoke icon, with this little crane thing on top of the container. So you like that.
Molly.
Shoot it. Should land perfectly onto the spike. Okay, another lineup for that same spot would be right here by spawn, is you line up with the middle of this container door and you line up your smoke top of the dot with the top of the line here. So the second line is the one that you want to line it up with. So just like that, but you can't go too far up. You just gotta go right underneath that darker area.
Molly.
Shoot it. And it should bounce and land perfectly onto this bomb. Perfect. So that's it for all the lineup spots for Icebox. Hope these lineups will help you better play Brimstone and clutch some rounds. I'm going to roll some highlight clips of me pulling some of these off, and I hope to catch some of you live on stream. Peace.
Open up the sky!
They're not flame.
Deep fry, Holly!
I don't believe. He's pushing your ass.
One enemy remaining.
Oh, he's pushing, he's on. You're in close to you. Just wait. Yeah.
No, just don't pick it. Wait, tap.
You ever seen peek?
You have to peek.
Oh my god.
Oh my
dude.
god. Some things you
So
just can't
grand.
teach.
Oh my god.
Defense to the comp, trust.
Last player standing.
Molly!
One enemy remaining.
I can't believe you in your lineup.
Some things you just can't teach.
Bro, I can't believe it. Oh, wait. That's a fucking lineup.
He's got lineups in both locations, man.
If you plant A,
different area
they're
codes,
dead.
man.
They're dead. Rick's got a lineup.
Player standing.
Why'd you bail?
Open up the sky! Molly!
One enemy remaining.
Dim beacon down.
Why did you tell me to go flank when you're going there?
I'm go. So you clear it first. You know.
This
you
is
hold.
Nice shot.
I knew it. You ain't getting me that time, bruh.
One snowman.
One enemy remaining. Last player standing.
Aiming by time.
Open up the sky! Molly!
Nice run, Brimstone.
Thrifty.
Nice run, bro.
Any cheaper?
Enemy spotted A.
Gotcha.
Rafters.
Spike planted. Smoke down.
Get one shot.
Last player standing.
Open up the sky! Molly!
That's one.
One enemy remaining.
That's why they put me in charge.
Bro, how did that volley hit?
No more doubts.
His visibility
We're ready.
trust. I have no doubt about that.
Open up the sky! Molly!
No, no one's finding.
Defusing.
I got it.
Molly.
Last player standing. One enemy remaining.
That's the lot of them.
There's two.
You got him.
Last player standing.
Down you go. Open up the sky! Molly! Stim beacon down.
You gotta break the wall.
One enemy remaining. Clutch.
Oh, I got it!
Some things you just can't teach.
What the fuck? No way, dude. It's like this, right?
52 to race.
You'll stay alive.
Open up the sky! You have a lineup?
Yes, stay alive.
Actually,
Enemy
Molly.
spotted for you.
Reloading.
are they on?
Cutting their vision.
No, they cannot be.
Now they're not.
Last player standing.
Good shit.
Holy shit, you're in the back. One.